President Tinubu addresses 2025 Brics, pushes for inclusive development.
Nigeria therefore called on Brics to lead a new path of justice anchored on fairness, sustainable technology, transfer and accessible financing.
Federal government commends Nigerian Army's sacrifices, pledges continued support.
The men and women of the Nigerian Army and Armed Forces more broadly, I reaffirm the present administration's unwavering commitment to your welfare and operational capacity.
Nigeria Immigration Service launches amnesty program for foreign nationals with expired visas.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall focus on 2025 Brics Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
The 17th Brics Summit is underway in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and this year it is more than a meeting. It marks a defining turning point in the evolution of the bloc.
Now, with its recent expansion, Brics is now entering a phase of greater cooperation, one characterized by broader participation, stronger representation, and a louder voice on global issues.
At a time when the world is navigating economic uncertainties, trade barriers, and shifting power centers, Brics is positioning itself as a viable alternative, pushing for new models of growth and global governance.
This new chapter reflects the growing weight of the global south and the push towards a multipolar world order.
Over 20 countries are attending this year's summit, including full members and strategic partners. Nigeria, led by President Bola Tinubu, is participating as a partner nation, using the platform to advance its economic reform agenda and attract fresh investments.
And also joining the conversation are countries like Mexico, Colombia, and Uruguay. Following an invitation from host President Luis Inacio Lula da Silva, the theme for this year is strengthening Global South cooperation for more inclusive and sustainable governance.
So why is Brics expanding now? What does a bigger Brics mean for global power dynamics? And how might its growing reach affect institutions like the IMF, the World Bank, and even the UN?
Well, we'll tackle these questions and more as we dig into the implication of this year's summit, from geopolitics to investment trends and Nigeria's place in it all.
I'm Ademola Adeoye. Thank you for joining us this Monday morning, the first edition for the week. This is Good Morning Nigeria.
And I am Jumai Yusuf. We are live on the network service of the NTA. Chukudi Okologbaja will join us later for newspaper review.
But first, here is Stella Namete for with today's news highlights. Good morning, Stella.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ademola. Good morning, Jume. Here is the morning news. Nigeria is reaffirming its commitment to strategic collaborations that translate to sustainable and inclusive development for all, as the country calls on the Brics to lead a new path of justice in the world. President Tinubu made the commitment while addressing the 2025 Brics Summit of Heads of State and Government in Rio de Janeiro.
Nigeria therefore called on Brics to lead a new path of justice anchored on fairness, sustainable technology, transfer and accessible financing, such that emerging economies can fully benefit from the various initiatives in this field.
As the push for cleaner energy grows stronger, President Bola Tinubu has urged a fair energy transition that will not just jeopardize developing economies. Speaking at the 17th Summit of the Economic Cooperation Organization in Kankendi, Azerbaijan, the president, represented by the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, stated that given the adverse effects of climate change, including devastating droughts, floods, desertification, and extreme heat waves, a climate-resilient future is essential. He advocated for eco-partnerships to enhance access to cleaner energy technologies, share expertise, and invest in regional power pools to electrify underserved communities.
Climate change demands global resilience through stronger infrastructure, smarter energy systems, and integration of trade corridors. This is why Nigeria is supporting a reinforced Eco-Africa trade corridor. Let us harmonize tariffs, simplify custom procedures, and develop multimodal logistic platforms that can efficiently link Africa with the rest of the world.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has reaffirmed the unwavering commitment of his administration to Nigerian army and indeed the armed forces towards combating all forms of security threats across the country. This is the message of the president to the grand finale of the Nigerian Army Day Celebration 2025 held in Kaduna.
The men and women of the Nigerian Army and Armed Forces more broadly, I reaffirm the present administration's unwavering commitment to your welfare and operational capacity. We will continue to invest in modern equipment, in intelligence, and in the human capital that drives our effectiveness. This is not a favor, it is a duty owed to those who depend on us.
Rural communities are the bedrock upon which lasting national development is built, and as such, its population must be empowered to adapt and thrive in the face of the growing challenges of climate change, economic uncertainty, and communal conflicts. Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, highlights this in her message marking this year's World Rural Development Day. She says the theme of the celebration, Rural Development, Resilience to Global Change, speaks to the heart of the challenges faced by nations of the world and calls on Nigerians to work together to ensure that no community is left behind in the ongoing efforts to build a stronger and more resilient Nigeria. The Nigeria Immigration Service has launched an amnesty initiative for foreigners with expired visas or immigration violations, offering them the chance to regularize their status without penalties. A statement by the Service Public Relations Officer, Akinsola Akinlabi, indicates that the initiative, introduced in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, took effect on 1st May 2025 and runs until 30th September 2025. The statement explains that the amnesty applies to three key categories: foreign nationals with expired visa on arrival (VOA), holders of expired single or multiple entry visas, and individuals with expired SEPAC whose renewal is overdue by more than 30 days. The service advised affected individuals to visit the website of Immigration Service to regularize their stay within the grace period and avoid overstay penalties. To ease the process, the Nigeria Immigration Service has deployed a dedicated support team to assist applicants while reaffirming its commitment to promoting lawful migration, ensuring national security, and fostering a transparent and efficient immigration system. Now, sports. Nigeria's Super Falcons kicked off their 2025 Women Africa Cup of Nations campaign with a comfortable 3-0 victory over Tunisia in their first Group B fixture at the Labi Zaouli Stadium in Morocco. The Super Falcons, who are gunning for a record 10th title, had played out a barren draw against Portugal in a pre-WAFCON warm-up game. However, it was 6-time African Player of the Year, Azizat Oshola, who broke the deadlock in the 4th minute through a glancing header via a perfectly weighted free kick into the box by Rinsola Babajide. Babajide would then enter the score sheet following a surging run and a low brilliant finish to the bottom corner to double the Falcons' lead just right before halftime. Substitute Chinwendu Ihezuo was the cherry on top in what was a dominating display by the Falcons as she latched onto a pass headed down by Esther Okoronkwo to finish from close range and make it 3-0. And those are the highlights of the news at this time. Good Morning Nigeria continues shortly with Adamola and Jume after this commercial break. Please don't go away.
Have you heard the news? The federal government of Nigeria, through its direct benefit transfer program, has started the disbursement of 75,000 naira per household in 3 installments of 25,000, 25,000, 25,000 naira. Each recipient must have a validated national identification number, NIN, to receive the payment on behalf of their household members. To benefit, your household must be in the National Social Register of Poor and Vulnerable Households in Nigeria. The federal government's direct benefit transfer program is helping to reduce the effect of suffering while promoting financial and economic inclusion for the poor and vulnerable population in Nigeria.
Ìjọba fún wa ní 75,000. NIN àti káàdì láti lọ gbà. Nígbà tí mo sì gbà, mo fi ṣe nǹkan tó dáa, mo ra oògùn nínú rẹ̀. Mo ra oúnjẹ tí màá jẹ nínú rẹ̀. Mo sì wọkọ̀ mi náà ń bẹ. A sì fi yòókù ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ ajé pé ká tó máa rí dé bá. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba wa òkè.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, in collaboration with the National Social Investment Programs Agency, National Social Safety Net's Coordinating Office, and the National Cash Transfer Office.
What food did you need?
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
When you're low on energy and need a break, give yourself a treat. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Smooth. Crafted from cocoa, milk, and sugar. Creamy. Chocolatey. Frothy goodness. Rich taste. So satisfying. Cadbury 3-in-1 Hot Chocolate. The treat you deserve.
No buy am. But why? No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal. Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
The sport is very, very important to the special kid needs. Engaging in this kind of activities, moving the wheelchair with the strength, is a form of exercise to reduce that stiffness of the muscle. It makes them to be self-dependent, not depending we should believe that there is ability in their disabilities.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to our new kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Hey Nigeria, ready to breathe cleaner air and save money? Let's talk about gas. Drive with CNG, the smart, cost-effective choice. Fill up for less and travel further. Save money, save the planet. Switch to LPG for cooking. It's cleaner, healthier, and better for environment. Say goodbye to smoke and eye problems. Do you know Nigeria is a gas nation ranked 9th globally with over 209 trillion cubic feet of gas reserve? Gas isn't just for cooking and driving. It powers industries too. Cleaner, cheaper, and more efficient. And the best part, conversion centers are popping up everywhere. It's never been easier to switch to gas. Join the cleaner energy revolution. Choose LPG for cooking and CNG for your vehicles. Clean energy for brighter future. This message is brought to you by the Office of the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, supported by the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
The newspaper reviewer Chukwudi Okolu-Baja is here. Good morning, Chooks.
Good morning, Jumai. On a very cold morning.
It's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day.
I love the weather.
You do?
So sweet.
You didn't have to visit the loo up to 2 times at night? Because when it's cold, that's when you have this call of nature. I don't know whether it affects you.
It's a new week.
It's a new week.
Yeah.
And a bright one.
Yes, let's kick off with the Blueprint newspaper. And above the masthead of the Blueprint newspaper, Lagos, NDLEA uncovers cocaine in lipsticks, $17.7 million in kids' books. You find the details on page 16. And below the masthead, Northern leaders meet in Kaduna, push for region's unity. Okay. You find the details on page 16, page 10. WAFCON, that's in sports, Super Falcons crushed Tunisia in Group B opener. Find details on page 32. Side piece of the picture story, 2027, coalition out for their stomach not to salvage Nigeria. That's attributed to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Tinubu to troops, you have my full mandate to crush enemies of Nigeria. With riders, 9 Boko Haram wives arrested in Niger. IED cache uncovered in Marte di Kwa Bridge. You find the details on page 8. And just below the picture story, Senate puts Natasha's reinstatement on hold. yet to receive court judgment, lawmakers' apology. And sympathizers rescue drowning soldier in Edo. Find the details on page 11. 21 killed in Kano auto crash. Details on page 16. Equity markets post 377 billion naira gain, strengthens investors' sentiment. And Constitution Review, Muswen restates demand for Sharia in Southwest. And the picture story, see there, Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Olorode left, and Vice President Kashim Shettima at the grand finale of the Nigerian Army Day celebration in Kaduna on Sunday. Mr. Demola, take yours tonight.
Okay, I have the Leadership newspaper. The Leadership newspaper, just below the nameplate, we have Leadership appoints new editors. Then we have court verdict. Natasha vows to resume Tuesday. Senate awaits CTC. Details of that story can be found on page 21. I'm running for president, not VP, Obi declares. And it says, Tinubu government lacks compassion. Your time has passed, Wike tells former Anambra governor. Details of that major headline story, it's on page 7. Tinubu orders military to wipe out Nigeria's enemies. Kuka fears greater insecurity. Details on page 22. Aviation fuel soars to 1,315 naira per litre, despite oil price dip. Details on page 27. Ebonyi government backs rotational presidencies, and the details on page 23. National NAS oversight of MDA's ineffective CSOs, others. Details on page 26. JAM releases 11,000 mop-up candidates result. Details of that story can be found on page 21. And we have 29 die in Kano, Lagos crashes. Rainstorm destroys 100 KB houses. Details, page 20. Well,
let's quickly go to the business Nigeria, and above the masthead, Nigeria targets return of foreign students, invests 75 billion naira in campus power. That's coming from the TED Fund bus. You find the details on page 2. Atiku vows anti-graft war as 2027 bid takes shape. Details on page 2. And below the masthead, pharmacists raise alarm. Half of drugs in Nigeria are fake. Details on page 11. And relief outrage as FX transactions resume on Naira cards in 2025. You find the details on page 1. And CBN pumps $4.7 billion to defend Naira amid capital fight. You find the details on page 2. Labour kicks, judiciary warns Senate on reform bill. You want to know what it's all about? You find it in the inside paper. And CBN deadline expires, struggling BDCs turn to mergers, acquisitions for survival. Mr. Chooks?
Yes, Jumai, thank you very much. I know I'm not their learned friends, but when the Natasha suspension happened, I thought it was an overkill. I thought they were killing a fly with a sledgehammer. People argued. I just felt that if Natasha impugned Senate laws, she should be directly punished for it. Laws are laws, you know. But for her constituents to be robbed of representation for 6 months, I felt it was not a good one. And I actually put out a piece on that on social media. Unfortunately, many of our journalists, they were doing the gossip area of it. This one do this for backyard, this one do, you know. So it's a good thing a judge has pronounced now. The thing now is she's vowing to start on Tuesday. While the Senate is saying we've not received the CTC, the certified true copy, and the apology has not come from her. I think they should, in a gentlemanly manner, resolve that aspect of it.
I believe they will resolve
They
it.
will. They will. Then go take them tongue, count them teeth.
They will resolve
because that matter, I think it was not quite, you know. But laws are laws. I'm a stickler for you must obey our laws. That piece I put out, talked about that extensively. So let them resolve it since the court has spoken. And it's a good thing. Nobody is talking about appealing anything. Good. You have my full mandate to crush Nigeria's enemies. That's the president to our security forces. About time too. Well, he's been saying all that. So what we would want to say is, Mr. President, what are the things we need to do to them to help them to, swoop on these people more and more to do the crushing? Because it has become an ill wind that blows no one any good. Yes, let them go get them. This is sports. Sports usually comes lastly in our news lineup. But I'm happy the Super Falcons, swooped on the Tunisians. And it's a good way to start. Yeah. Very, very good.
I hope they keep up the tempo.
Yes. They're politicking ahead of 2027.
Did you watch the match?
No, I didn't.
I didn't see it as well. A coalition out for their stomach, not Nigeria. Our brother is talking to them there, as usual. That's wicked to them. And then they'll be saying, I'm running for...
President,
he's really playing for high stakes, isn't he? That coalition, it's okay. We will pray for them to...
That coalition
get their act together.
He get as it be.
Let's watch. We'll write the story. That's our job.
Yeah.
Let's stay neutral and write the story as robustly as we can. The leadership is getting new editors. I like it when you mention the newsroom's gate man, the people who say what goes out eventually. Although when I look at some papers these days, I begin to ask, do they really have editors there? An editor, a field marshal, is a field marshal. I liked it when the editor knew factuality, fairness, accuracy, objectivity, and balance. They are pillars. And good English. These days, the two of them hardly go together, and it gives me a lot of pain. But leadership has actually paid its dues, and we want to vouch for them because they are one of the foremost.
One of the leaders.
They are. You have to give it to them.
Aviation fuel soars to 1,315 litre.
Any reason for that? Because the oil price, thank you. The price of petrol went up when is Iran going to fight Israel? Blah blah blah. Happened. There was a surge to $80 per barrel, but I think it's come down to about 68.
Yes.
So, aviation fuel, does it have a totally different route in terms of the kind of carbon it uses? It's still a carbon product. I've not read that story, so let me not go too much into that aspect of it.
Okay,
yes.
Chooks.
Well, before you go into any other aspect, let's just thank you for...
thank me out as usual.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're a job's comforter. You're a job's comforter.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
You have a lovely day.
You guys too.
All right.
Thank you.
So we'll take a break now. The conversation will kick off immediately after the break. Stay with us.
Our major currency unit is the Naira, while the minor unit is the Kobo. They are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian. Do not abuse the Naira.
Imagine lovely meals you can cook with these ingredients. You spend heavily, but no guarantee of a tasty meal. Not making a right choice of seasoning cube can ruin your meal, money, and confidence. For a tasty meal, do not compromise. Choose Gold.
Use Terra Gold for the rich, consistent taste your loved ones crave for. Good for soups, stews, and jollof. Terra Gold. 1 cube, endless possibilities.
Mention a popular Nigerian childhood game of the 80s and 90s.
Police and thief. Playing rubber.
No be arm rubber.
Mommy and daddy.
Mommy and daddy. Survey says. Hey.
She loves to cook and I like to eat.
That's my boy. I like to go out, but sometimes my pocket just tells me, bro, go inside. Don't be only you. Mention something you would do if you meet with a lion. Call for help. Help me. The lion, they carry me, go here.
I like to watch football with him. Nice. Not Arsenal. They know they carry league.
Drop some bars.
All right. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
You did not even rap.
If you're happy and you know it, let me see your 32. Smile for me, baby. You know they give me attitude.
Felicity, they're here.
What would you need?
Guys, food is ready.
Cook to impress.
The Nigeria Coat of Arms is the official seal that represents the authority of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, hung on the wall behind the seat of the principal officer of the government, supported by the portrait of the serving president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It has 7 features. The black shield stands for Good Earth of Nigeria. The silver wavy band stands for the confluence of rivers Niger and Benue. The 2 white horses stands for dignity. The yellow flora is a common wildflower throughout Nigeria. The red eagle stands for strength. The wreath is in our national colors of green, white, green. The motto, unity and faith, peace and progress, is written on a beautiful yellow ribbon, and it's a maxim for all Nigerians. Be a real Nigerian.
TerraQ. Unwrap joy. Unleash taste.
The federal government of Nigeria warns vandals of national assets, electricity transmission towers, cables and other facilities to desist from this act of sabotage. Vandalism is a serious crime punishable under the law. Vandalizing electrical equipment will affect millions of Nigerians, including your loved ones. Remember that national assets belong to all of us, hence the need to protect them. Report all cases of suspicious movement around electrical facilities to security agencies. When you see something, say something. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation in collaboration with the National Counter-Terrorism Center, NCTC, Office of the National Security Advisor.
Good, tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Smart Balance. Smart Balance rice bran oil is rich in gamma-oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma-oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance oil. Good food, no worries.
From the Atlantic across the savannah to the Sahara, we
rise, a land of the free, we know they tire. We dream great, our spirit is undying.
Resilient, rooted like palm tree. We sway in colors, with undying demand. We make solutions, we ignite passion, yeah. Each ethnicity is unique, we are more than just a nation.
We are Nigeria, strengthening in unity. We know they carry lives. We are Nigeria, together live the dream of a land with great destiny. We are Nigeria.
I am the real Nigerian. Brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA, and our focus is on the 2025 Brics Summit. Let's take a listen to Timothy Yusuf's report.
The 2025 Brics Summit, which is the 17th, is a significant diplomatic milestone for Nigeria, marking its debut as a partner country in the influential economic bloc. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is already in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, participating in the summit to highlight Nigeria's ongoing economic reforms aimed at stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, attracting foreign investment, and unlocking growth in key sectors like agriculture, solid minerals, healthcare, and renewable energy. Analysts believe that the summit provides a platform for Nigeria to attract investors and promote its investment potential, deepening economic ties with fellow BRICS nations. With the summit's theme, Strengthening Global South Cooperation for More Inclusive and Sustainable Governance, it aligns with Nigeria's vision for global financial reform and multilateral cooperation. For the summit's potential benefits, many say Nigeria's participation in the BRICS Summit could lead to increased investment in key sectors, driving economic growth and development. By showcasing its economic reforms and investment potential, Nigeria can improve its global competitiveness and attract more foreign investment. Also, the summit provides an opportunity for Nigeria to diversify its economy and reduce its dependence on oil exports. However, Nigeria faces significant economic challenges, including high inflation and sluggish growth, which need to be addressed to achieve sustainable development. The success of Nigeria's economic reforms will depend on effective implementation and the ability to attract foreign investment. Overall, the 17th BRICS Summit presents a significant opportunity for Nigeria to promote its economic interests, attract investment, and strengthen its global partnerships. This partnership has already begun as Nigeria and Brazil are making new commitments towards fast-tracking the processes of actualizing the gains of the bilateral relations between the two countries. President Bola Tinubu and his Brazilian counterpart, Luiz Lula da Silva, expressed enthusiasm for a timely and fruitful relations between Nigeria and Brazil at their meeting in Rio de Janeiro ahead of the 2025 BRICS Summit of Heads of State and Government holding in Brazil. For more insights on the 17th BRICS Summit, vis-a-vis its prospects and progress ahead, let's now join our guests in the studio.
Thank you very much, Timothy Yusuf, for that background report. And now joining us here to begin our conversation on 2025 BRICS Summit, let me introduce in the studio Dr. Adoyi Matthew Omale. He's the International Affairs Analyst. Dr. Omale, it's good to have you on Good Morning Nigeria this morning.
Good morning, and thanks you for having me.
Also joining us from our Lagos studio is Professor F.M. Ubi, is the Director of Studies, Nigeria Institute of International Affairs, NIIA. Dr. Ubi, you're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here with you. Thank you.
For joining us, and also joining us via Zoom from South Africa, Johannesburg, we have Ambassador Joe Keshi, former Prime Minister Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Glad to have you join us, Ambassador.
Good morning. Nice seeing you all this morning.
And joining us via Zoom also from Beijing, China is John Chu, Fellow of Belt and Road Research Center, Minzu University of China. Glad to have you join us.
Good morning, Lagos.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation this morning. Let's start from the studio here. Dr. Mali, let's look at the key objectives of this 17th Brics Summit, which is going on, which is on the way in Brazil. How does it align, I mean, the objective align with the theme of this summit? The theme is strengthening global South cooperation.
Yes, the objective of this year's BRICS Summit, I think, is very, very clear. It's in line with BRICS' overall objective, fostering global partnership with countries of the South. For a very long time, the countries of the South, the global South now in this case, they've been collectively agitating for certain reforms within the international economic system. They'll be agitating for new international economic order that will strive to bring about equality in the international affairs, especially in international trade and development. And to fast track this, the idea of the BRICS was mooted, and the BRICS have come to stay as a key global player, as a counterweight to Western domination of the international economic order. And if you look at the objectives, is to harness the potential, is to ensure that the countries of the South are able to leverage on their partnership, strategic partnership, to give economic succor, to mitigate global challenges that they face. And the BRICS is doing a very, very good work in that regard. In terms of renewable energy, many countries of the BRICS have a lot to gain from each other. And like as I always say, in terms of technology transfer, there's no other group that will be willing to transfer technology like a cooperation among the countries of the South, which is very, very instructive. That Brazil is hosting this summit. Brazil has been a very leading light within the South. They have attained some level of industrialization in manufacturing, in mining, and so on. When you look at India, for example, India and a lot of African countries and countries of the South, they share very close affinity in the area of addressing poverty and so on. The objective of this year's summit definitely is to try to open up new vista of area of cooperation between the countries of the South. And you can see many countries of the South, including Nigeria, are becoming are being attracted into the BRICS initiative. Why? Because it creates a very, very important window for most of them to diversify their economy, to reach out, because it's a very open group that are willing, with a lot of money, with China being the second largest economy in the world, and being a member of that partnership.
And also Russia.
And Russia and India, and even South Africa. It shows that if we take advantage of those countries that are moving the BRICS, we could also attract a lot of foreign direct investments. And vice versa, we can also enter into favorable trade relationship with these countries to expand our economy, to diversify our economy, and so on. So it creates a lot of opportunity for us as a country, for Africa as a continent, and also for the countries of the South-South. We in the academics have been arguing about looking inwards. I think BRICS creates that opportunity for us to look inwards to see how we can cooperate among ourselves within the global south, because we share very similar problems, very similar challenges, and it will be good if we can leverage on that. I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his handlers knows very well that the opportunity that are abound within the BRICS, and that is why Mr. President has to make it as a point of contact to attend the BRICS summit, which to me is very good for Nigeria.
It is. It's very good for Nigeria and a step forward in diversifying our economy. Let's bring in Ambassador Joe Keshi into this conversation now. We're beginning to understand, you know, the BRICS as it is, and what is the central focus of this 17th BRICS summit in Brazil, and why is it important globally? Because some experts term it as a table shaker on the global scene.
Thank you very much. I like the way you said it, that some people see it as a global shaker within the international scene. Unfortunately, I don't think I share that view because the BRICS states, as they are called, they are meeting at a time of great upheaval and uncertainty within the international community. They are meeting at a time in which you have a different administration in the United States itself, which has destabilized, you know, the global order that was set a couple of years ago, post-Cold War and post-World War II. So the order, I mean, the global order itself is in an uncertain situation. And you can see that reflecting in the statement that the BRICS states, you know, in the 31-page document that they released yesterday, which I found very, very unfortunate, but it shows you the challenge that they now face. One was the fact that this organization began essentially as a protest group. The very first concern was about the dominance of the U.S. currency as the global trading currency, and the way the Western institutions, you know, have dealt with, particularly the South, in terms of loans and the rest of it. And they thought they needed to find an alternative, you know, to that. They also wanted to promote multilateralism, you know, so that to ensure that the world in which we live in is not just dominated by just one group of or set of people, the Western world in particular. But unfortunately, a number of things have changed over the years, and is beginning to pose some challenges to BRICS itself. For example, two of the key leaders did not attend the conference. The Chinese president was not there. The Russian president was not there, even though he addressed the conference via Zoom. Egypt, which was interested in becoming a member, has paused its membership one way or the other, whether it has withdrawn or paused its membership. And as I said, when you look at the statement that was released yesterday, the final statement will probably
we're having some network challenge there, and probably when that is resolved, we'll go back to South Africa to join Ambassador Keship. So let's bring in Professor Ubi into the discussion right now. Professor Ubi, let's have your perspective. I know that you have been listening to the conversation so far. Let's have your perspective concerning this 17th BRICS summit, in particular, how it aligns with its objective and also with the theme, which is strengthening the global South cooperation.
Thank you once again for having me in the studio. Yes, I've heard what my other colleagues in the studio said, and I think there's something we also have to come to terms with, which is what even Ambassador Keshi himself raised. The global order is already in disorder. That's number one. Number two is the fact that we are in an uncertain world. And then the third point is the fact that the developing countries are the ones that are the ones suffering the most hit in terms of issues regarding global health, underdevelopment, the international economic system, or the financial park. And so what is so unique about the BRICS is the fact that it is giving impetus to what we call collectivization in international economics, a situation where groupings of developing nations will come together to form a force, to either counter the injustice, disparity, inequity that you find within the international system. And so the theme of the BRICS this year has a lot of sub-themes, that will be addressed with regards to global health, international finance, trade, and all that. And you can also see that much recently, since the assumption of President Trump into office, there's so much dislocation in terms of international trade, with the hike in tariff. And so this is the time where the developing countries, either under the auspices of BRICS, must have to come together in concerted effort to look at other ways that could enhance their economy. And so this meeting, the 17th meeting, I think is something that is a meeting that the countries will have to come together to look at these issues and try to see how those abnormalities within the international system that the developing countries are suffering from, we know will be rectified. Now, if you listen to our president in his submission, I think yesterday, the whole team of the BRICS and even the sub-teams that they are looking into aligned with our own Nigerian domestic economic challenges we are facing. And so him being there, it's unique and it's great, it's awesome, because this is the only time you can, under such meetings, that you can, attract foreign investment, attract investors into the green energy technology, which is the in thing. And much more importantly, which is something we also have to look at, is the AI, the fourth industrial revolution. That is key, because the BRICS Summit, 17th Summit, is focusing on AI governance. So this is something that we'll begin to look at, because as we are transcend into the fourth industrial revolution and trying to adapt robotics, AI into our economy, I think this is something that will begin to focus us on. And so our policies should be geared towards this area. But before I stop, I would like to say that this is the time, the appropriate time, that we need to begin to look at a new international financial pact, where we will move away from the dominance of the US dollar. Now, there have to also be other convertible currencies that could be used, because that is a power that is the power that the West have always used, in terms of sanctions. Like you see what happened at the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, where SWIFT, MasterCard, Russia couldn't have access. I think these are the part of the problems and challenges that the developing world are facing, which is actually bringing about this new concerted effort in terms of multilateralism, in terms of the fact that we need to push for a multipolarity system where there's no one dominance and there is no hegemony that gives order, because in that sense it creates a whole lot of disorder in the international system, and this is exactly what we are seeing now. And so I think we begin to look for other, not just BRICS, the South-South cooperation should be harnessed. We should also create other multilateral entities because the future of the globe is not about one hegemon, and neither is it about bipolarity. It's about multipolarity, and it's about multilateralism. So that is the focus, and that's what I think we should begin to do. And so our president being at that meeting is no mistake. I think there's a lot we can benefit from that fora, and by the time it comes back, maybe a lot of investors will come in, a lot of trade relations between Nigeria and the emerging powers and other economics who are the economic powers that are there, from the different regions across the world.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry, excuse me. Thank you so much, Professor Ubi, for that opening statement. And we know that all the superpowers, some of them are joining the BRICS now, like Russia and China and India and all that are coming on board. But let me bring in John Chu from China into this conversation. We've seen the summit going on, but there's been an absence of China and Russia, although Vladimir Putin joined the conversation via Zoom. So how is this affecting the tone and direction of this summit? And would you say that BRICS is expanding its global influence or struggling with internal fragmentation? What's going on there?
I think this is absolutely a great question. I think, first of all, I answer the first question. I'm not saying this is an absence. I mean, this is a physical, not attending to the meeting, but through the Zoom or sending the representative. It doesn't at all to influence this impact of the conference. From what I know is that China has been fully committed to the BRICS development, and China is one of the initiators of this organization. It's a funder of this organization and platform, and probably one of the most important supporter and a contributor to this network. So I think through these, work, I think even though Chinese leaders like President Xi Jinping is not there, but still we will have the Prime Minister be here. So I think the significance is equally attached. So no problem with that at all. I can guarantee that. And I think from Russia's perspective, even though I'm not a Russian, I cannot speak for the Russian government or their leadership, but I still strongly believe against current backdrop internationally, you will find out that Russia probably more than ever will rely on this, network based on the developing nations or the global South nations. So I think every, members are actually paying attention to this platform. They want to develop this platform into a bigger one, stronger one, and a wide-ranging, reaching one. So I think this is not the problem anymore. And also, according to my source, not only the BRICS nations or the members or partners, but also many other major countries are also paying attention to this meeting, to this network and platform. It's because the BRICS nations and also the Global South nations that this stands for actually has become one of the major force in the international arena. Well, you probably pay just attention to a little phenomenon. You probably will be reminded. That is like 30 years ago or 40 years ago, when we're talking about China, we're talking about India, Nigeria, when we're talking about other this global South nations, we majorly use one word. It's called developing nations, developing countries. It's because these nations are basically considered only have the significance of economy. So we only judge these countries with the economic, measurements and etc. We never consider them as a major global political force. But right now, we've been saying these nations. We're very seldom to use the term like developing nations or developed nations, something like that. We use global South nations and its representatives. It's because we think, other than the Western nations, other than the major international political forces, the global South nations are rising up not only as an international economic force, but also as one of the major political forces influencing the whole global development. Even though right now we've been seeing there are many major geopolitical conflicts going on, like the Ukraine crisis, like in the Middle East, But I guarantee you that the developing nations, the global South nations' voices are really be paid attention to, and people would like to hear about our opinions. We are not ignorable like 50 or 60 years ago, like before. That makes our platform, like the BRICS organization, its platform, to be more important than ever. So I think that's the reason why we should, put more of the significance and attention to our own network, our own collaborations, to think about how we can collaborate in a wider range, in a more closer extent, and then to prop up our economic presence as well as our political impact. And that will change and reshape the international geopolitical scenario in the next 20 years. For example, in the Middle East, well, probably those nations get involved directly wouldn't have to listen to a country in Africa, wouldn't have to listen to a country far away in Eastern Asia. But now they have to listen because the global supply chain are saying so, because the United Nations multilateral platforms are saying so, because the whole world has been a very different world, and global South nation has become someone already in the game, not only at the chess, but also have already been a player. That's the reason why we need to work with each other more than ever. And this is my answer to my dearest hostess. Thank you.
With you for a bit, what, in your opinion, are the expected outcomes from this 17th BRICS summit?
I think this summit probably will discuss many very important issues. I think number one, everybody understand we are having a very, very turbulent roller coaster, travel internationally. My friend, Mr. Ambassador, had just mentioned, well, Mr. Trump are making such a fuss over the tariff conflicts. So everybody's worrying about the situation. There are no exceptions. Even the alliances, just take a look at Japan, just take a look at the UK. Their closest alliances are also taking a lot of the impact, letting alone us, Africa, Asia, South Asia, and Middle East, and etc. So that's I think the number one cause that bring all of us together. After all, I think the BRICS nations, the BRICS organization is the platform, try to put effort on collaboration on economy issues, infrastructures, digitalization, modernization, financial services, because I think this platform is very different from 50 years ago. It's very different from the non-alliances movement or something before that time, because at this moment, it's more like a very open platform. We try to put aside our differences, but work closely on economic issues, because we believe that only with economic uprising, we will have a voice all over the world. And that's the reason why everybody's eyes is on us, on the BRICS. So I think how we can stay together, talk through this kind of turbulence is very important. And I think secondly is that how we can really put aside our differences, like Miss Hostess just mentioned. Within this organization, what kind of a real problem do we have? We have to admit all these member states, all these member countries, they have different agendas, and we need to respect that and work a way out to reach our common goal. Every nation will have their modernization target. Nigeria wants to be a modernized, digitalized, modern economy. India wants to be that. Well, Saudi Arabia also want to have a modernized manufacturing industry. And Russia also want to restore their position in the international finance and also manufacturing. So how we can just bring in all these visions and form a bigger pictures, try to accommodate more of the different pictures and bring them into one. So I think this is something we need to talk to each other within this meetings. And also letting alone, I'm not saying this club is the sweetest club all over the world, but come on. My source tells me many other nations try to join in the BRICS nations because they see there are many good deals in here. For example, people are working together and do not asking you to choose side. We're not asking, okay, Nigeria, choose us between America or China. We're not asking, okay, Saudi Arabia, choose between Russia or Ukraine, and then after you make choices, and then you can join in. No, there's no string attached at all. You just come here on the equal footing and do trade with each other, and that's it. And as long as you respect each other, as long as you want to work with each other on the trade and economy, fine, you are good partners. And this is a really rare club in the whole world against the current backdrop. So many nations want to come. So who is going to come in next? I think that will be a problem. Every existing members will have their own calculations. That's true. But we still also need to work out a plan to accommodate to our everybody's best and the largest interest. This is also something we need to talk about. And also, I think fourthly is that how we can, have more of the detailed plan can be carried out. For example, how we can build more bridges, how we can have more of the digital infrastructures, how we can, utilize more of the loans with probably lowest, interest rate to support one nation's long-term development, but not entrap them with the burden of the loans. So all these need to be talked about through this kind of a meeting. I think the reason why the leaders are not here is because through last time's summit, we have already set up the great framework for this meeting. But this time is mostly focusing on the details, the working plans, the real actions. So I think this is something we need to pay attention to.
Well, thank you so much, John Chu, there for your opening perspective there. And your major actually point is that there should be a better and greater collaboration amongst the member of the BRICS. Now, let's come back to the studio now. Dr. Male, you have listened to the various perspectives from other speakers that this summit is coming at a time where we have heightened global uncertainty and with issues like economic decoupling, trade tensions, geopolitical instability here and there. So what would you propose for the global governance to address all these issues that have been raised?
Okay, there is a lot of options that are available to members of the BRICS. But just like my colleague from China has said, the BRICS is basically focused on economic development for now, which is true. The issues of economy of the South is the major focus of the BRICS. I hope the BRICS in future will not drift into military activities. I hope they will just restrict it purely to economic, as my colleague from China has said, so that we don't have a kind of NATO scenario. Yeah, so that we don't have a NATO scenario that will portend great danger to the existence of the BRICS. Just like he has said, the BRICS is welcoming everybody now. Saudi Arabia is welcoming different countries. Nigeria wants to be part of it. Everybody wants to be part of it. But the moment they begin to branch into talking about military wars and so on, that will cast a lot of, that will set the gains back. But the prospects of the BRICS are there, just like you have asked. There are so many issues. What strikes me more is the issue of the new development bank. That is very, very critical. We, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, or in Africa generally, we need these facilities, just like one of the speaker has enumerated. We need these soft loans. We need these infrastructural development facilities to boost our infrastructure. We need the technology, and the BRICS serves as a veritable source of getting these loans and this finance to diversify our economy, as it has been said here earlier on. I think that what we as a developing country should do is to cooperate more with ourselves, because if we must catch up, if we must compete globally, then we need to harness all our potentials. One of the problems many of us, the developing African country, have is in the area of processing our raw materials. And the BRICS will have a lot to assist in that regard. The foreign direct investments that we desire now through the BRICS are investments that can actually be situated within our boundaries, that can be engaged in meaningful manufacturing and production. And like one of the speakers, the man from China, has talked about, the international system is very turbulent now. There's a lot of turbulence with the tariff war and the economic posture of the Trump administration. A lot of countries are moving towards the BRICS because the BRICS has provided an alternative platform. It was not in the past where it was only the Bretton Woods institution that was being led by America that was carrying out, that was driving the international system. The new alternative has been very appealing to a lot of developing countries, because if you look at the new development bank, the interest rates and the favorable conditions that this bank is giving is very, very attractive to developing countries. And that is why you see a lot of countries moving towards the BRICS. And I hope this is sustained. As our analyst from China has said, the BRICS is open, and a lot of people are now seeing that, yes, the BRICS is really committed to changing the global narrative. So, and that is why a lot of countries are looking strategically into this partnership. If countries like Saudi Arabia, that is a very close ally of the United States, could see the benefits of joining the BRICS, then you are rest assured that many more countries, recently Indonesia was able to join, many more countries in the global south will want to take this opportunity to have an alternative. You know, what the BRICS brings to the table in terms of international economic relations, what the BRICS bring to the table is a completely new alternative. And that is what makes it unique. And I just hope that the focus, the direction of BRICS at a point in time do not shift from this new focus, so that unlike in the past where it is only the Western world that dominates the international economic system, a new opportunity is being given to countries of the South. Okay. And like one of our analysts say, I just want to refer to what he said. He made a very, very important statement. Even countries of the West, like Britain, Canada, and some other countries, they have not been happy with even the way they've been treated by the current American president. And I might predict that in the near future, they might be also looking towards the BRICS too, for protection as succor.
The BRICS is the new bride now. Okay, before we go to Ambassador Keshi, remember to send in your comments and questions on our text messages so that we can be able to read them out to our guests and they can respond, so that you can begin to understand exactly what the BRICS is all about. Ambassador Keshi, it's good to have you back. And understanding the focus of BRICS for 2025, the summit. Now, Nigeria is a partner of BRICS now, full partner, and with time, we intend to be fully member of the BRICS. Can you break it down for us, some of the prospects for Nigeria in relation to BRICS 2025 and beyond? Please enable your mic so that we can hear you. It's not okay, Professor. Okay, it's there now. Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yes,
yeah,
we can.
We can.
Yes. I think that, number one, the BRICS states must find a way to navigate the current, international uncertainty. And if they can do that and live up to, their own commitments, their own objectives, I think that the future will be bright for for them. But if they do not do that, and they veer into defending member states' national interests individually rather than collectively, I think that they are going to even have more challenges, as we are beginning to see. I talked of the challenges before we lost contact. So for them and for the future, it's two things. Number one, the ability as a group to navigate the current uncertainties within the global system. The second thing is that individual countries, particularly countries from the African countries itself. I was saying this before, that we have had all the opportunities with all organizations, to look inwards and develop our own, economy, so that we can become a credible partner when it comes to issues of trade, when it comes to issues of economic development and the rest of it. Now, we need to again go back and emphasize the importance of resolving individual member state domestic contradictions and developing their respective economies. Now, if you look at Nigeria, I think that we are also enamored by this whole idea of foreign investors. For goodness sake, if you look at the development of a number of countries today, particularly from the Asian world, you'll be amazed that at the point which foreign investment began to go into this country was at a point in which these countries were beginning to transform, and the developed world saw opportunities that they can key into. The developed world, the foreign investors did not make Japan. The foreign investors did not make the Asian tigers. No, they saw opportunities and they began to capitalize on it. So for countries like Nigeria, they must create those opportunities. And once they create those opportunities, you'll be amazed at how much capital will flow into Nigeria, to begin to, that would again spur economic development like we saw in the Asian tigers and we saw in a number of countries. So the point I'm making is that let us again focus on the fact that if we make our economies, I'm talking of the Brics states, if they like Nigeria and other countries, particularly from the African countries, if they make their economy attractive enough, if they make their country attractive enough, if they make the investment environment attractive enough, if they develop the skills that investors are looking for, particularly at home. If you go and read the history of some of these big families in Japan and so on, no. And emphasize, it was not the foreign investment that made them. It was domestic investment that spurred investment in these countries, and foreign investment took the opportunity. And that's what we should try to do when it comes to us in Nigeria, as well as other Brics states. But again, the most important thing today is they need to find a way to balance and to navigate the current dynamics in the global system. What they released yesterday do not show that they are trying to do that, but I think their future lies in trying to navigate and balance relationship between what's going on in the domestic environment and what's going on in their own internal, their own domestic environment.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Keshit, for those issues that you have raised there. For the need for the member partners to develop their own opportunities and also to leverage on it. Thank you, Ambassador Keshi. We know that you are really trying to cope with the biting winter there. We must commend you. Now let's go to our Lagos studio where we still have Professor Ubi. Professor Ubi, you have listened to some of these comments. Let's now explore how Nigeria can take advantage of this, Brics summit. What opportunities, just like Ambassador Keshi said, that what opportunity exists for Nigeria to participating in these Brics initiatives, such as in the New Development Bank, and how can Nigeria leverage Brics expertise and resources to address its development challenges?
Thank you for your question. I like to say that we must understand Brics in terms of data. Brics is, the population of Brics is about half of the world, almost half of the world. The economy of Brics is 40% global economy. It's 40% of the global economy. Now we come back home to Nigeria. Nigeria is one of the largest population in Africa, and so we also understand that Nigeria is 3/4 of ECOWAS market. Nigeria is 1/4 of Africa's market. And so you could see complementarity between Nigeria as a nation and its membership, whether partnership now and its membership in future with Brics. And so we all need each other in terms of trade, in terms of investment. So, but what I would say is for us to keep our house in order. We have to put in place the right reforms, the policies that could attract foreign investors, that could engender economic growth, domestically. Focus should be more on productive infrastructure. We actually need productive infrastructure. So if there are no productive infrastructure, it cannot lay the foundation for the takeoff of Nigeria's economy to attract the markets or the investments that we are looking for. And also our relationship with China, our relationship with India, Brazil, South Africa, and other members of the Brics, will have to be strengthened more and look at comparative advantages in areas that we could engage with them, such that we are not going. It's going to be mutually beneficial. And so I think the government should, at this point, at this meeting too, on the side meetings, be talking with the various presidents who are there, and also try to market Nigeria, at this particular point. Because, like I said, there is no country in the world that can afford to ignore Nigeria. Nigeria is a huge market, whether you like it or not. Then in terms of resources, both human and natural, we've got them. But what we need is industrialization. And this is the point in time that the government should be talking, at this meeting, in terms of offshoring and outsourcing from either China, from Brazil, from India. Now, it's also an opportunity to diversify our economy, moving away from crude oil, moving away from just crude oil and export and import of finished goods. We need to also move into agriculture. We need to also industrialize. You see, industrialization is key to any country's development. But I would like to say that aside industrialization, two factors in economics that give impetus to development is trade and industrialization. But first, you must put the manufacturing base first in the economy, and then the industrialization. In doing that, you could attract all the investors you want. Now, as an advice to us, I think we should begin to talk about these countries outsourcing into Nigeria instead of going to China to buy all the finished product. If, for instance, we have a lot of rubber plantation, why don't you come set up the rubber factory here? Why do you need to come and get the raw material and take to China and manufacture, get finished product and bring it back? Why? Why do we need all that in the 21st century? I think some of these companies, and it is there, even if you look at the FOCAC document, plan of action, it is always there, that the Chinese government says it will encourage Chinese enterprises to go set up factories or industries in Africa. I think this is where we need to hold many of these nations, where we are a membership of the same community, hold them to their promises, because it is one thing to promise and another to fulfill that promise. And so there are prospects, with our membership of Brics or our partnership with Brics. There's a whole lot of prospect in terms of diversification of the domestic economy. Now, one of the factors that the 17 Brics is talking about is global health. And you could see how COVID-19 ravaged the globe. Now, Africa was the worst hit. We didn't have access to vaccine. Why should it be like that? I think we need to sit up as Africans and need to sit up as a country to look at ways in which we can, build our domestic economy to a level where it will be attractive. Yeah, we are trying, we are doing a whole lot, but I think we still need to do more. We still need to put in place the right policies. We put in place the right reforms, economic reforms, and to build this domestic economy to a standard that it will be extremely very attractive to our partners abroad. Now, we all understand the international economic is not in favor of the developing countries. We are all suffering it. We have to keep, we are at their beck and call. It was an economic, international economic that was set up, prior to even the independence of many African nations. And so a lot of African nations found themselves, integrated into an economy that they were not part of. And that is why we are asking for a new financial park. If that financial park is going to come from collectivizations such as Brics and maybe other future collectivization, prior to Brics, we talked about the N11. Prior to Brics, we talked about the Mint. Prior to Brics, we talked about the Vistas. These are all the future. This is all the future we're talking about. Groupings of developing nations coming together to fight a cause that could liberate them from the stranglehold of the dominant powers or the hegemonic powers. So I think this is another area that we need to hold tenaciously to fight against this dominance, because in that dominance we suffer a lot. We can't. They come here to get our raw materials, take it out, and bring finished good at an exorbitant price, and we can't continue to live this way. So I think, in as much as there are benefits across the globe, in terms of membership of Brics, in terms of membership of other collectivization, we also need to set the standards, lay the foundation for that takeoff of development, within the domestic economy. And in doing such, we can, mutually benefit from our engagement with other advanced economy, the emerging economies. And I would say that the future is multipolarity. The future is multilateralism. The good thing about our country, Nigeria, is that the past couple of years we've been asking for a new governance, international governance system, that is inclusive, where everyone would take ownership, not the existing governance system that we have right now, which, we all talk about the rule-based. Like I said at my initial opening statement, the rule-based order is already in disorder. And this is something that needs to be corrected for every developing country to gain the benefit of its independence and the benefit of membership, partnership with other developing countries and emerging powers.
Indeed, Professor, diversification is key to having a stable economy in Nigeria. Don't forget to send in your text messages. We're expecting them. But now we'll take a break. When we return, our conversation will continue with John Chu from China.
TerraQ Unwrap Joy. Unleash Taste.
When we think about the digital economy, you can see it as the marketplace for digital goods and services. And increasingly, it's becoming a force to reckon with and an incredible contributor to economic growth, because we've seen the growth in technology and digital platforms. Technology has it really permeated every aspect of life and business, the way we live, the way we work. And when we talk about the digital economy, we're really talking about leveraging technology and digital platforms in a powerful way to drive growth, to drive solutions to problems, to drive applications, and to provide services.
The digital economy is something that has the potential to help Nigeria leapfrog a lot of its development challenges, right? Because think about what the mobile phone did for Nigeria years ago. That is the potential we have for digital, because it has a way of reducing the barriers to innovation. It has a way of being able to transform service delivery, whether it's government's delivery of services or whether it's services in the health system, where people can use digital to actually be able to see their patients better. But it takes a lot to realize that potential of digital. The first thing is like every other thing, there's an infrastructure you have to build to be able to make sure that digital economy can thrive. Think of something like, capturing that happens in Nigeria, right? Where you capture, people's biometric when they go for a driver's license, when they go for passports, and each of those are separate things. Largely a system where we're able to streamline that and actually have a platform that exchange biometric information that makes it easier for people to access passports, easier for people to register to vote. But today it's very tough, right? But those are basic infrastructure that needs to be invested in. A lot of it is through government and private sector collaborations to make it happen.
If we're looking to accelerate growth in the Nigerian space, we really need to look at enabling the digital economy. That includes providing digital infrastructure, connectivity, because that's the highway, like the highway that everything rides on. We need to think about digital capacity building in terms of the suppliers to the economy and also the consumers within the economy. So a robust digital literacy initiative. The good thing about technology is that, one, it helps you to transcend boundaries. Two, it creates a level playing field, really, because if you create a solution, a technology-based solution that is applicable in this environment, that same technology can be applicable, exported to other environments. And, technology platforms also help drive collaboration, right? When we're thinking about innovation, when we're thinking about business growth, collaboration is an important part of that. So when we think about the impacts with the rest of the world, we find that actually technology platforms are giving us an opportunity to engage more actively, to collaborate, to create partnerships, to even export our knowledge and services for people to engage with all the great things I'm talking about technology and digital platforms. They need access, internet access, broadband access. So we need to make sure that access is more available and affordable for the average user.
The most important thing is to think about where you want to go as a country and actually what type of policies are going to help get you there. There are examples of countries who've been able to transform using digital, for example. There are very clear things those countries did to be able to make it happen. So a lot of this, the pathway to be able to solve these problems are not mysterious, right? It takes courage of the policymakers to be able to understudy some of these things and bring in the policies that work to be able to help them.
You're welcome back, and this is Good Morning Nigeria. We've been discussing the 17th BRICS Summit holding in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. John Chu, let me bring you into this conversation, and let's talk about the expansion of the BRICS itself, you know, from 5 to 11 members and then partners. Nigeria is a huge market for doing business with China, and with BRICS now looking towards partners like Nigeria, let's look at the prospects and pitfalls. How will this benefit Nigeria? What are the prospects for Nigeria? That's my first question. The second one is, how will issues like the Security Council seat and a BRICS currency, though they say it's still far off, how will it impact African nations that will be joining, you know, BRICS now?
Well, thank you for the question. I think this is actually a great question. I think for the first question, I think the answer is very important. Right now, I think we have to understand one thing is that the paradigm of the growth, the paradigm of the wealth actually been changing a lot. I think BRICS and also this platform organization means more important than ever. A lot of people are saying, okay, this is just another hoax. This is just another powerful economic nations try to, you know, shift their capacities to some other nations, something like that, or some debt to some other nations. No, I don't quite think so. If you understand what's really going on in the current 20 years or even 40 years, you will see it's very different from what happened in the past 100 years or 200 years. Well, 200 years ago, when the colonizers or the first round of globalizers tried to dominate the world, the growth model looks very, very different. When you want to get rich, so you have some machines and you conquer a lot of the colonized and colonies, and then you control a lot of the slaves, and then you get rich. You can dump your products to the colonies, and then you can rob a lot of the raw materials and get rich. And that is not the story in the second industrial revolution, especially you know, during and after the Second World War, because you will find out the colony doesn't mean a lot, especially after the Second World War. People just don't need that quite much. That's the reason why I think America after the Second World War dominated the campaign that you know, to allow many of these developing nations to get independent. And also, if you take a look at the third round of the industrialization, dominated by the digitalization, internet, you will find out the whole story has been changed ridiculously. That is because even though you can have lots of the raw materials, as vast mature territory and land you can have, but it's not necessary to be rich and powerful. Well, I think that there are many examples in here. I think number one is Canada. Canada used to be the number 3 rich country in the whole world. They only have 14 million population and have the second largest territory, and the number 2 ranking of the rich deposits of the raw materials, minerals and oils and gases. So according to our old equation, you probably will think Canada should be a country, well, has been as same rich as Saudi Arabia or Qatar. Well, the answer is Canada is not only probably the ranking lower and lower in the G7, but also the average fiscal and the public, you know, debt situation is getting worse and worse. Well, such a large country with such a rich deposit of the natural resources, but with such a little, you know, with a little population, why they are not getting richer and richer? But there's another story happening with the newly ranked number 4 economy in the whole world called India. India has 1.5 billion of population, and average per capita, you know, natural resources are very, very little compared to Canada. But it's climbing up really quickly to the number 4 in the whole world. I think a similar story also happened like 20 years ago with South Korea, with Japan, also with China similarly. So why is that? It's because the new growth model, I think number 1 does not rely on the natural resources alone. It's more reliant on the human resources, the people's brain, people's idea, technology, something like that. The innovation has become very important. I think that's the reason why lots of the global South nations are after their own target of globalization, digitalization, modernization. I think that's one very important thing we need to remember. And I think secondly is that the whole logic is very different. In the past, in the old paradigm, you need to defeat your enemies or competitors so you can get rich, they can get poor. So a lot of people are saying, okay, when one economy is rising up, the other economy needs to fall. But I think that's a wrong idea. Well, China always believe one thing, because China is a major manufacturer of the product of the whole world. Imagine you're walking in the shoes of China. China, do you want to have rich, peaceful neighbors and partners, or do you want to have poor and partners in a war and in a chaotic situation? Just to make a choice. I think anyone who understands the situation probably will choose, I would like to have a rich and a peaceful neighbors, because I have to sell my product and services to them. Only rich products, only rich neighbors, partners can have my products and services, right? So we call it win-win result and common prosperity. I think similar stories happen with many other major manufacturers. For example, Germany, for example, Japan, they, after the Second World War, all followed the similar policies. They try to make peace with the surrounding countries. They try to, support and donate to the other nations so that their product, their services can have a good market. They can have a good international collaborations. So that's the thinking pattern of the new growth, of the new era. So I think BRICS nations are just building on this new era, building on this new wave of growth. Because I think on this platform, every nation, most of the nations are manufacturers, are providers, providing services, products, raw materials. So more than ever, you want to have everyone consider you to be peaceful partner, to be a friendly partner, and also you want to show them, hey, I have money. I can buy everybody's product, and also I want everybody to buy my product. I think that ultimately makes BRICS platform a very peaceful, equal footing, and also mutual respective platform, more than the old ones, more than anyone in human history. So this is very interesting, isn't it? So I think answering the hostess question, what can it bring to Nigeria? And also my friends, Professor Ubi just mentioned, Nigeria, how can they grab the opportunities? How can they bring in all kinds of industries back into Nigeria? A lot of people will say, okay, will the other nations want to do that? Will they be so kind-hearted to give good technology, to give the capitals to a nation far away, to help them to grow their own modernization and digitalization? I think the answer is yes. Still, remember the answer. Do you want a rich partner, peaceful partner, who think you are a good brother and friends, or do you want to have a poor, chaotic enemies? I think the answer is very, very different. Do you want to have China by your side, or do you want to have Gaza Strip or Yemen by your side? Well, no discrimination. It just means the whole peaceful situation in there. I don't think you want to have that kind of situation surrounding your nation, but you want to have a very peaceful environment around you. I think that's the reason why. And a lot of people saying, okay, will this platform provide us, what kind of provide us? I think long-term affordable capitals. We all need capitals to grow. And also technology. Don't get it wrong. A lot of people say, are they good enough to give us the technology? Trust us. The technology in all these years evolve every 2 to 5 years. People will love to give you technology so that you can climb up the orders, climb up the ladders. Well, if one country is already on the top of the ladders, like America, but all the other nations are still down the pyramid, how can America sell the product, the movies, the financial products to all of us? It needs the whole world to climb up eventually. And China, Russia, India, Nigeria is the largest African economy. I think Nigeria also understand this logic. So I think this is the time, this is the moment that we seize this opportunity to get prosper together. I think that's the logic of this joining the BRICS nations. And if we do that, we will have more than 20 years fast-growing corridor to catch up with. Just take a look at Lagos. Just take a look at the market. Well, think of for one thing, is Lagos far better than 20 years ago? Is the military force of Nigeria far better than 20 years ago? Is people's living standards right now is very much approaching 1,000 US dollar per people in Nigeria? Is that far better than 20 years ago? And what's the reason why? What's the reason behind that to make things far better than 20 years ago? I think that is globalization. That is international trade. That is the innovation of the technology happening in Africa and Nigeria. And all these things can be brought by Brics platform. And also answering the second question, I'm not quite an expert on security council issues, but I would like to say United Nations is also reforming. We as Chinese thank very, very much from the bottom of our heart. African brothers used to be the partners that take New China into the United Nations. But it's a win-win result because China as a new force going to the United Nations, get back its seat in the Security Council, reshaped the world international governance order to make the world a better place, not to be dominated by some, few hegemony powers anymore. Global South nations have its
we have to interject you now because we are running out of time, and we need to take some responses from some of our viewers that want some answers to some of the questions that they have sent. So let's just thank you so much for that extensive, explanation there. So let's come back to the studio where we have Dr. Omale. We have some questions from some of our viewers which would like you to respond to. This one says, how does Brics promote innovation and technology transfer to Nigeria and other developing countries? Igbodo Ofule from Asaba says, in this contemporary world of business economy, superior performance and competitive advantage is key. What kind of asset does Nigeria hope to capitalize or leverage on other than the crude? And Patrick from Garki says, what role can the Nigerian private sector play in promoting economic cooperation with Brics countries?
Well, these are three questions, so I will just put them together because of lack of time.
Yeah.
Well, Nigeria has a lot. I disagree with the man from Delta. Nigeria has a lot to offer. In terms of agriculture alone, we have very vast arable land. We have very, very good markets. We can produce enough food to feed the entire African continent and beyond. So we have a lot to offer to put on the table as far as the Brics is concerned. We need to market our products in terms of agricultural production, even in small and medium scale enterprises. Our companies are not doing too badly. We just need a small push so that we can export many of our products, especially from the Aba Industrial Hub, from Apapa, and even Bompai in Kanu. We have several industrial estates in the country that we need to look at so that we can push our finished product into the international market. So Nigeria definitely will have a lot to offer. On the other question about whether has Nigeria got to benefit from the Brics, we have a lot to benefit from the Brics. Like it has been said on this program, in the area of getting access to low-interest loans that will rival the IMF and World Bank. So we can access this facility to develop our infrastructure. So we have a lot, definitely, to benefit from the Brics.
Okay, let's bring in Prof into the conversation. He's in Lagos. Prof, I have two questions from two of our viewers. He said, Chike from Wari Delta said, Nigeria's Brics partnership is a game changer, offering access to new markets, investments, and technologies that can drive economic growth and development. Under President Bola Tinubu's leadership, the administration is aggressively pursuing foreign investment opportunities with a strong focus on agriculture and industry. As foreign investors continue to pour in, this is a strategic move that has the potential to unlock Nigeria's economic potential and propel the country towards sustainable development. And another viewer said, good morning, I want to ask you, The name Brics, which I believe is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, as many other nations are joining, would the name change to accommodate other countries, or will it be just the founding fathers? Good job, NTA. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the first one isn't a question; it's a statement of fact. And the person, whoever asked the question, had already told us that there's a lot that the government is doing in terms of, harnessing its position with the BRICS partnership with BRICS, and so and truly the government is doing a whole lot since inception. There has been a whole lot of image building and a lot of attraction of foreign investment, which is yielding results. But I also advise that, you see, there's something I also notice about us. Sometimes we want quick results. These things take time. It grows, not just at once, but transcendentally. And so with our relationship with BRICS and other emerging powers, emerging economies, there are prospects that we will achieve more and more. The name BRICS, since other members became part of, other countries joined BRICS, in many of our academic write-up, we use the word BRIC Plus. And even if you go online, the name has changed from BRICS to BRIC Plus. So it's not just BRICS, because there are other nations now who are also members of BRICS, and there are partners too. So it has changed, and I don't think it is going to remain BRICS. For now, the name, the acronym is BRIC Plus, including new members that have joined, and also partners who are also there. So I think as we go forward in the nearest future, maybe they might come up with a new acronym. After all, it's a multilateral organization, and so who knows, they might come up with a different name in future away from BRIC Plus, and that's to accommodate other developing nations, to accommodate other emerging powers and frontier markets too.
Of this conversation, we go to China. Joe Chu, just tell us briefly, in just 1 minute, what role do you see BRICS in promoting, South-South cooperation and development? In just 1 minute.
Sorry. I think BRICS will become the very important platform to initiate all kinds of collaboration between all the BRICS nations. It will become a rule-based forum for everybody to discuss about their differences, and also to form action plans for the future corporations. And also, the most valuable thing, as just mentioned, is that it can help every partners to put aside their differences, their political ideologies aside, focusing on respecting each other and collaborating with each other to form one of the vastest and the more closest, supply chain of the whole world. And these economic force and also determinations politically, and make us one of the most important force in the whole world that every other major force need to talk to us. So I think that's the beauty of this platform, to make things happen for the global South nations and for a brighter future.
John Chu, Fellow of Belt and Road Research Center, Minzu University of China, joined us via Zoom. Thank you so much for your time. And we also have to thank Ambassador Joe Keshi, former Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who joined us via Zoom from Johannesburg in South Africa. Thank you so much for your time. It's like the Zoom network is still bad. Thank you so much for your contributions to the conversation. And Professor F.M. Ubi, Director of Studies, Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, thank you for your contribution to the conversation on the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. We appreciate you. And here in the studio, we had Dr. Adoyi Matthew Omale, International Affairs Analyst, a regular on the program. As always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I just want to say that on the issue of name,
yes,
even the United Nations was the League of Nations, and it changed to United Nations. So many organizations, the OAU existed before, is now AU. So
yes.
the Brics definitely will change for
yes,
Brics Plus.
with time, yes. And that's Good Morning Nigeria for today. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Stay tuned tomorrow for another interesting conversation. Thank you. I am Jumoy Yusuf.
And I'm Ademola Adeoye. Thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.